America has become a nation of idiots. Why do I say this? Well, the Lord spoke to us about this in Hosea 4:6. He said, "My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge." And this is essentially what it boils down to. The word idiot implies that someone is slow, ignorant, given to unintelligent decisions or acts, acting carelessly, inability to learn or reason, a fool, or simply lacking common sense. Now, by failing to educate themselves, millions of ignorant Americans have lost all of their power and are now dictated to by the few with knowledge. The elite, who dictate the path of our country, they don't want the masses to become educated because then their power would be in jeopardy. The American public school system ensures the retention of their power and wealth, thus churning out idiots into the public who are ill-equipped to handle even the simplest of tasks. And why do I say this? Well, you've got people, I'll give you a prime example. If you're working at McDonald's and you're 40 years old and you've been working there the last 10 years and your only goal in life is to one day become manager, then you have thus limited yourself to that particular ideology that this is the best you can do and the best you can hope for. And a lot of cases, there are those of you who not only are 40 and not progressing, but you're still living at home in your parents' roof because you cannot even afford to go out on your own. And I'm not knocking the people who choose to do this kind of work. If you're content and happy, then God bless you. But there are many people who are not content, they're not happy, and they don't even understand why they can't move ahead. And this is because they were dumbed down early, either through the type of education that they received at home. And speaking of receiving education at home, do you know that in Asian cultures, children are taught before they are sent to school? This is something that a lot of households should, if they're not doing it, and a lot are not doing it, then they need to start. Teach your children. Do not rely on the education system to teach your child. Because with the teachers' unions, which protect their jobs, these teachers don't have to teach your kids anything. They simply have to show up to work. And then you've got the overcrowded classrooms. So your child is not, if your child is slow and needs special attention, they're not going to get it within the public school system because the teachers can't take the time to work with one student when they've got 40 other students in a class that they're trying to teach. Now, speaking about the food industry, do you know that America is so full of idiots that now we've got people spending upwards of $1,000 a year ordering food online? Even on the holidays, you've got people going out to restaurants and ordering food because they've become lazy and they don't want to go to the market, they don't want to cook, and sometimes they're just tired. There are people who are holding down 2 and 3 jobs because they didn't bother to get the education needed to get them the one good job. So they've got to hold down 2 or 3 mediocre jobs just to feed their families. We've got debit card companies, payday loan corporations, pawn shops, check cashing services. They're all notorious for taking advantage of poor people with their exorbitant and often hidden fees. Now, how these companies make money is because we are known for being impatient. Everyone wants immediate gratification. So you've got this person who gets paid on Friday and they deposit their check in their bank. The money's probably not going to clear until 3 business days later, like Tuesday. But the weekend is here and they want their money now. So they'll go to a check cashing place and pay whatever fee they need to pay to cash the check. And then you've got other people who've just totally switched from checking and savings accounts to just using prepaid debit cards. I know more people with NetSpend or some other prepaid card than those who have actual bank accounts. Traditional banks, they lure you in with services like overdraft protection, and then they charge you as much as $34 for every overdraft. I've been charged personally $34 on a $15 overdraft. So I paid more in fees than I did for the actual purchase. And if you're not mindful of your overdrafting, you can wind up with hundreds of dollars in fees alone. Write Check, which is a check cashing company here in New York, they charge 1.95%, almost 2% of the face value of a check, just to cash it. To send a bill, it's 89 cents. To pay a bill, it's $1.50. To send a money order, it's 89 cents, which frankly is less than it costs at the post office. But even still, those fees, they add up. More proof that we're breeding a nation of idiots is that I would have never imagined that one day we'd be buying water. But we are so predisposed to believing anything that advertisers tell us that we bought the lie that we must purchase water to ensure that it's safe for drinking. But who says that is the case? If it's not safe for drinking, then it's not safe for bathing, washing dishes, making coffee. I mean, really, think about it. We do all these other things. We make rice, we cook food with it. I'm sure, I am almost absolutely sure you're not using that bottled water for those types of things. I would love to see the person that uses bottled water to take a bath in. But my point is that who's to say this is better? In my mind, I can just envision some trap house in Maine where you got a person standing over the kitchen sink filling up the bottles. Then you got a half a dozen naked chicks sitting around the kitchen table labeling and boxing up the Poland Spring. You know, advertisers have got American public so duped that they know if they put a well-known celebrity in the commercial lying about a product that they probably never even used, every fan of this liar will run out and buy the product. And this is how you've got people in the hoods that are, I remember back in the 90s, malt liquor was the thing because every rapper was in a malt liquor commercial. Then they started giving them their own drinks and whoa, everybody wanted to be Diddy. So they had Ciroc and all these other things that people were claiming. Jay-Z did so much for Cristal. I wouldn't be surprised if he's on the board of shareholders. So, my friend, for instance, G. Craig Lewis, he did a sermon once where he mentioned the Folgers coffee song. And he came in with the first line, the best part of waking up. And the entire congregation chimed in, is Folgers in your cup? Now, you know damn well ain't nobody bought the Folgers album, but they all know the song. That's the brainwash, folks, and in America, we fall for it every time. And this is why I'm saying we're becoming a nation of idiots, because anyone can just come along and tell us anything and sell us anything. As a matter of fact, we're so gullible, we're conned all the time within our own society. You've got automobile companies, they stay misrepresenting in advertising for sales of new and used cars, which turn out to be lemons. Auto repairs are commonly faulty repairs. I know someone who had an oil change that destroyed her engine. And on any given day, there are conflicts over leasing and towing. Home improvement and construction companies, they frequently do shoddy work. Many fail to start or even complete a job. And in New York City, building debris commonly falls down on the head of passing pedestrians. At my own building, it shakes every time a large truck passes by. Utility services. There's always service problems or billing disputes with phone, cable, satellite, internet, and gas services. Credit and debt. There are billing and fee disputes, mortgage modifications, and mortgage-related fraud. Credit repair, debt relief services, predatory lending, which feeds on people's need to have immediate gratification. So you don't want to wait until payday, so you get a payday loan. And you wind up spending up your whole paycheck paying back the loan, as well as whatever fees they've tacked on, which are usually high. Illegal or abusive debt collection tactics. Receiving collection calls for a debt you don't even owe. I can give you an example. The other day, about 7 in the morning, the phone rings, and usually when I go to sleep, I turn the phone off because I don't want to have my sleep interrupted. But I must have forgotten, and here's the phone ringing, and I see the number, I don't recognize it. I pick it up, and it's someone calling from a collection agency for a debt that I didn't even owe. They didn't even have the name right. And I was so annoyed. I told the woman, I says, for starters, you've got the wrong person. But even worse than that, you're probably never going to get your money because nobody wants to talk to you at 7 o'clock in the morning. Retail sales, false advertising, and other deceptive practices, defective merchandise. How many times have you bought something only to get it home and find out that it doesn't work? Then you've got these issues with rebates, coupons, gift cards, gift certificates, and just the simple failure to deliver your product. This has happened to me more than once where I've paid for something, usually online, and then it never gets here. Services, misrepresentation, crappy work, failure to have the required licenses, failure to even perform the service, and failure to refund your money. You've got so many people out here that are misrepresenting. In the case of a lot of these medical services, you've got people who put the title doctor before their name, but they've never been to school. I remember a case recently where someone was arrested for giving butt injections that consisted of gasoline and cement. And the patient wound up with a huge butt, but they didn't get to enjoy it because they died. So now them and their big butt is in the ground somewhere, and no one gets to see it. And the person who did it was not a licensed person, a doctor or any type of medical profession, and they're in jail now. But the point is that nothing is going to bring this person back. You've got landlords, unhealthy and unsafe conditions, their failure to make repairs or provide promise amenities, deposits, and rent disputes, and illegal eviction tactics. And we've become so conditioned to just accepting authority that we don't speak up for our rights. If you're paying rent somewhere, you have rights. You have a right to a healthy and safe living environment. That means you don't have to live with mice. You don't have to live with roaches. If the plumbing is not working, you have a right to have it fixed. And you also have rights when it comes to your deposits and rent disputes and illegal evictions. They can't just throw you out in the street. You have rights. It's different if you're living somewhere rent-free and you're not paying any rent. Well, then you don't have any rights. But if you're paying your money, you have rights and you need to know it. Don't just be an idiot and let someone put you out on the street and because they say so. No, they have to go through the legal procedures in order to do these things. You have what's called tenants' rights. Google it. Health products and services. There are many misleading claims and, as I said before, unlicensed practitioners. You've got all these people on the different social media and on TV and so forth, selling you something for your health. Take this pill to lose weight. Come in, we'll give you liposuction. You'll look like this. They've got they know how to target their market. This is what marketing is. It's who is your demographic? Who is it that you're selling to? So you've got certain things that are targeted to a certain market. If they want to get black people to come and support a product, they use black people in the commercial. These people are actors. Most of them don't even use the products they're selling. They're reading from a script. And half of the time, those before and after pictures, I saw one that was ridiculous. The before and the after look nothing alike. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And people, they buy into this. And this is the brainwash, folks. And this is why we're becoming a nation of idiots, because we believe anything that they tell us or try to sell us. And this brings me to the fact that even other countries know that America is full of idiots, which is why you've got scams coming out of places that don't even have indoor plumbing, like India and Africa. They know that most Americans worship money. And so their scams are usually some type of get rich quick con. You've got everything from bogus sweepstakes and lotteries, work at home schemes, grant offers, fake check scams, imposter scams, romance scam, grandma scam. I mean, you name it, they're out there. You've got, I know in Africa, which, I'm so ashamed, but it's a fact that in Nigeria, my West African brothers and sisters, they are the kings and queens of scamming. They've got something called the Yahoo Boys, who go online specifically to find you lonely hearts out there so they can get your money. I can't tell you how many times on Facebook I'll get an IM from someone saying, "Hi, my name is Bob. I live in," this is always some backwater place that they're coming from. And I saw your profile pic. I was looking for a friend and came across your name because you had a similar name. They've got the game down tight. And what it boils down to is if they can suck you in, then the next thing you know, they're asking you to send them money so they can come visit. If the Lord is going to bless you with a mate, trust me, He will also bless that mate with a plane ticket. You won't have to pay him to come see you. And then it doesn't end there. Once you send the money for the plane ticket, then all of a sudden, I've got to pay tariff or all this crap. And it just goes on and on and on. And once they've got enough money out of you or you've caught on, they're gone. So you have to be careful with that. Then they've got the grandma scam, which really is shameful because they target very, very old people and they'll call them with some lie. "Oh, hi, grandma." And grandma's like, "Oh, is that you, Jimmy?" And it's not Jimmy, but because they're old and in some cases feeble-minded, they fall for it, and Jimmy is stuck somewhere and he needs help from grandma to get back to wherever he's trying to go. And grandma is sucked in and wires money, but it's not Jimmy, and you never hear from him again. It just goes on and on and on. They've got this new thing now where they'll contact college students and say, "Oh, you've just won a grant, a scholarship, but you have to pay a fee in order to get the money." Oh, they use that also with these bogus sweepstakes and lotteries. "Oh, you have to pay a processing fee," or whatever. Believe me, first of all, if you never played the lottery, then you didn't win. They even tell you you've got to be in it to win it. So if you know you didn't play, then you shouldn't believe someone that calls you and tells you you won. And then the other thing is that you're never going to have to pay a processing fee to get your money if you win a lottery or a sweepstakes. There's no such thing. You've won, and that's it. You can call them by all kinds of different names, but the fact of the matter is that these scam artists have only one thing in common. They pretend to be someone they aren't, and they tell you a bogus story to con you into sending them your money. There's so many other ways that we become a nation of idiots. We just, in my generation, we used to say that if you don't stand up for something, you'll fall for anything. And so you have to be really mindful, especially this time in our nation's history, because the elite have now secured their control. We've got a billionaire president. That should tell you right there that he's not concerned with poor people. His God is money. And if you are not grounded spiritually, then you will fall for the tides that are getting ready to change. And it's not going to be in the favor of the poor. But then again, there's some of you who are so desperate to become elite that you will do anything for the almighty dollar. And this is why you have these industrial prison complex, because the elite know this. They know that if they keep brainwashing you and telling you, oh, you must have this, you've got to have the latest this. I don't even know how many versions of iPhone they have now because they keep making new ones. I have the first Galaxy ever made, and I'm totally content. I'm from a generation where if you had a phone, it was just to call people. All this extra stuff, I don't need that on my phone. I think they're up to what, the Galaxy 10 now? I could care less. I'm not upgrading. All of that is part of the con to get you out of your money. And so you've got people who don't even realize that the drug game is dead, that it's a trap. Everything, the name that they give to the trap houses, oh my goodness, that's so appropriate because that's exactly what it is, a trap. It's like a big mouse trap. And the authorities are just waiting for you to fall in it so they can catch you. So you've got to change your ideals, Americans. This is not about the American dream. It has become the American nightmare. We have to learn to live with less. You could pay $300 in rent and have $500 in expenses. You're living over your head. You don't need cable. You don't need every channel. You don't need internet on every device in your house. These are all ways to suck you out of your money. And those of you who are desperate for money, you're the very ones that are going to get sucked into the vortex. We've got to go back to being spiritual people. We've got to go back to being humble and learning how to just live. We don't have to bawl. We just need to live because the times are indeed changing. And those of you who are in your comfort zones because you've got that big paycheck or you've got that big payout from whatever you got winning at the casino or hustling and conning people and all of that, you've got to realize that the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. And in some cases, it wasn't the Lord who gave it to you. So you've got to prepare for that rainy day, for that day when you're not going to have it like that. And this is why some of you wind up sitting in a dark house because you didn't prepare for that rainy day when you needed to pay your light bill. But you've got those Louboutins. You managed to find the money for that, but your kids are hungry. So we've got to prioritize people, and we've got to stop being ignorant. You don't have to be an idiot. A lot of people are just content in their ignorance. And this also brings me to drug abuse. And I'm not even going to point out specific drugs because anything that causes your mind to blank out so that you don't have to deal with the problems of your day, it's not good. Because you need to be alert. This is the time to be alert. The enemy attacks the camp while it is asleep. And if you're under the influence of something that has you asleep, then the enemy is going to come in and take all of your goods. Don't lay your riches upon this earth where thieves break in and steal. And that's a quote straight out of the Bible, and which is my point of reference. A lot of you ask, "Oh, do your research." My research comes from the Bible. Everything that I speak to you about, it is God-driven. And we're entering a period of time where some of you will need to fast. And you will need to do it in secret. Because this is a time, a spiritual war that we're going through. And unless you know the right weapons, you will lose the war. Matthew 6:19. Do not store for yourself treasures on earth where moth and rust destroy and where thieves break in and steal, but store up for yourselves treasures in heaven where moth and rust do not destroy, and where thieves do not break in and steal. Also, in the verse prior to that, it tells you about fasting, that you shouldn't do it so it's obvious to men, but only to your Father who is unseen, and your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you. All right, I think I've pretty much exhausted this topic, people. Ignorance is not bliss. Ignorance is pitiful. Being an idiot is pitiful. You don't want to be pitiful. We are strong, fighting warriors, soldiers in the army of the Lord. And as such, we should prove ourselves worthy. Lord, I've asked you to temper my speech when I address topics, because I want the people to not be turned off by the message, but to really hear the message and to understand that I speak as a vehicle through you, Lord. This is not Hollywood. This is not Sister Rebecca's edicts. These are things that I have been led to share with the people who are in darkness. Their ignorance keeps them in darkness, Father, and we need them to come to the light, because this is not a game. It never was and it never will be. We are in a real spiritual war, and the enemy is using our minds to control us and our desires to control us. And I beg thee to have the people come back to the spiritual, to come back to what is holy and righteous, and to come back to the knowledge that you have given us. You've given us the power of discernment. We don't have to accept these advertisers' lies. We don't have to accept the ill treatment that we're given by services and people who we give our hard-earned money to and expect a service or a product. We don't have to lie down. We are to be wise in matters. Lord, help the people to get wisdom. As always, I thank you for the subscribers. I thank you for those who check in. And I thank you for the message, Lord, and the ability to do the videos. I thank you and I bless you in Jesus' mighty name.